Good evening, dear friends, and welcome. Welcome to a very special edition of Starlight News Network. I'm so glad you're here with us tonight. Before we begin, I want to ask you something personal, something from the heart. Close your eyes for just a moment, if you would, and think back. Think back to when you were young. Think back to those December evenings when the world seemed to slow down, when the snow fell like a gentle blessing upon your little town, and when the warmth of family surrounded you like the coziest blanket you've ever known. Now tell me, what is your favorite Christmas memory? And does Bing Crosby's voice play somewhere in it? I suspect for many of you watching tonight, the answer is yes. I suspect that when you think of Christmas, truly think of it, deep in your soul, you hear that smooth velvet baritone drifting through the air like cinnamon and pine needles. You hear those gentle, unhurried syllables wrapping around your heart like a warm embrace from an old dear friend. Let me paint you a picture, friends. A picture of Christmas as it once was. It is 1954, the year President Eisenhower lights the national Christmas tree, the year Marilyn Monroe becomes a bride, and the year that millions of American families gather around something truly magical, the radio. Picture it now, the living room of a modest but proud American home. Perhaps it's yours. Perhaps it's the home of your parents or your grandparents. The walls are papered in a pattern that would seem old-fashioned today, but was the height of style then. There's a Christmas tree in the corner, not one of those artificial things we see now, but a real Douglas fir, cut down by your father and your uncles just 2 weekends before. It's decorated with glass ornaments, some of them brought over from the old country, handed down through generations. Tinsel drapes from every branch like frozen silver waterfalls, and underneath, wrapped presents wait with the patience of saints. The fire crackles in the fireplace. Real wood, real flames. The smell of oak and hickory mixing with the scent of your mother's famous apple pie cooling on the kitchen counter. Your grandmother sits in her favorite chair, knitting something soft and blue. Perhaps a blanket for a baby yet to come. Perhaps mittens for the little ones running around the yard, throwing snowballs at each other through the falling flakes. And there in the center of the room sits the radio, not a television. Those were still a luxury, still something the neighbors talked about owning. No, this was the radio, the Philco, or the Zenith, or the RCA Victor, its wooden cabinet polished to a warm glow, its dial glowing amber in the dim light of the room. The family gathers. The children are called in from the cold, their cheeks red as apples, their laughter still echoing in the frosty air. Father settles into his armchair, loosening his tie, finally relaxing after a long year of hard work. Mother wipes her hands on her apron, comes out of the kitchen and sits on the arm of his chair, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. The grandparents exchange looks of quiet contentment, seeing their family together, healthy, happy, whole. Someone turns the dial, the static crackles, and then comes the voice. That voice. You know it, don't you? You know it like you know your own heartbeat. It's the voice of Bing Crosby. I'm dreaming of white Christmas. And suddenly the room is transformed. The worries of the year, the bills, the illnesses, the disappointments, the fears, they all fade away like morning mist. There is only this moment, this perfect crystalline moment of peace and love and togetherness. There is only the tree, the fire, the family, and that voice, that impossibly warm, that impossibly tender voice that seems to know exactly how you feel, that seems to be singing just for you, just for your family, just for this one magical night. Bing Crosby was not merely a singer, dear friends. He was not merely an entertainer. He was the sound of Christmas itself. He was the audio equivalent of a crackling fire, of freshly fallen snow, of the first sip of hot cocoa on a cold winter's night. When Bing Crosby sang, Christmas arrived in your heart, whether you were ready for it or not. From 1942, when White Christmas first graced the airwaves during the darkest days of the Second World War, to the decades that followed, Bing Crosby's voice became synonymous with the holiday season. Soldiers overseas heard it and wept, thinking of homes they might never see again. Mothers heard it and held their children closer. Young couples heard it and dreamed of the families they would one day build together. That song, that one perfect, immortal song, has sold more than 50 million copies. It remains to this day one of the best-selling singles of all time. But the numbers don't tell the story, not really. The story is in the faces of the people who heard it. The story is in the tears that fell, the hands that were held, the hearts that were healed. Bing Crosby gave us something precious. He gave us a sound that defined an entire season, an entire feeling, an entire era of American life. But tonight, dear friends, I want to tell you about something else Bing Crosby gave. Something he never talked about. Something he never wanted anyone to know. Tonight, I want to tell you about the secret Bing Crosby kept every Christmas.
To understand the secret, we must first understand the man. Harry Lillis Crosby Jr. was born on May 3, 1903 in Tacoma, Washington. The nickname Bing came from a comic strip he loved as a boy, the Bingville Bugle, and it stuck with him for life. A peculiar name, perhaps, but then again, Bing was a peculiar sort of fellow. Peculiar in the best way. Peculiar in the way that only truly good people can be. He rose to fame in the 1930s at a time when America desperately needed something to smile about. The Great Depression had crushed the spirits of millions. Breadlines stretched around city blocks. Fathers couldn't find work. Mothers stretched pennies until they broke. And into that darkness came this young man from Washington State with a voice like warm honey and a smile that could light up a room from coast to coast. By the time the 1950s rolled around, Bing Crosby was more than famous. He was an institution. He was the host of the most beloved Christmas specials on television. He was the star of motion pictures that broke box office records. He was the voice on the radio that families gathered around every holiday season. His face was on magazine covers. His name was in lights. He had achieved a level of success that most people couldn't even dream of. And yet, something weighed on him. Picture him now. It is late autumn, 1951. The tree is outside his window have shed their leaves, and a chill has crept into the California air. As much chill as California ever gets, anyway. Bing Crosby sits in his study, a comfortable room filled with leather-bound books and framed photographs of his family. He wears a smoking jacket, burgundy with black lapels, a pipe resting in an ashtray nearby. The soft glow of a desk lamp illuminates the papers spread before him. He's looking at numbers, not musical notes, numbers, financial statements, royalty checks, earnings reports. The sums are staggering. More money than his father made in a lifetime. More money than most people in America would ever see. And it keeps coming. Every time White Christmas plays on the radio, and it plays constantly during the holiday season, more money flows into his accounts. Every time a family gathers to watch one of his holiday specials, more money arrives. Bing set down the papers. He removed his reading glasses. He leaned back in his leather chair and stared at the ceiling, thinking, what does a man do with so much blessing? Some men would simply enjoy it. There is no shame in that. He had worked hard. He had earned every penny through talent and dedication and countless hours of rehearsal and performance. He could have spent it on himself, on lavish homes and expensive cars and all the material comforts that wealth can provide. But Bing Crosby was not like some men. He thought about his childhood. He thought about the families in Tacoma who had less than his family did. He thought about the faces he'd seen during the Depression, the children with holes in their shoes, the mothers with worry lines carved deep into their faces. And he thought about Christmas. Christmas, to Bing, was not about lights and tinsel and presents under the tree. Though he loved those things, don't get me wrong, to Bing, Christmas was about something deeper. It was about hope. It was about love. It was about the fundamental goodness of humanity, about our capacity to care for one another, to lift each other up, To be, if only for just one season a year, the very best versions of ourselves. Bing picked up the telephone on his desk. He dialed a number he knew by heart. On the other end, his manager answered. "I want to talk to you about something I've been thinking about for a long time now, and I need you to understand. This stays between us forever. No one can ever know. That's the deal. That's the only way I'll do this." His manager, a man who had known Bing for decades and had never heard him speak quite like this, listened intently. "Every year," Bing continued, "I want to take a portion of what I earned during the Christmas season, a significant portion, mind you, and I want to use it to give people who have nothing everything. I want to give them a Christmas they'll never forget, the kind of Christmas every child deserves, the kind of Christmas I was lucky enough to have even when times were hard. But here's the thing," Bing paused, gathering his thoughts. "I don't want anyone to know it's from me, not ever. I don't want thank you letters. I don't want newspaper articles. I don't want photographers showing up to snap pictures of me shaking hands with orphans so I can look like some kind of hero. That's not what this is about. This is about the children. This is about the families. This is about people who have been forgotten by the world, remembering, if only for one day, that they matter, that they are loved, that someone somewhere is thinking of them." There was a long silence on the other end of the line. "Bing, are you sure? Do you have any idea how much good publicity this would—" "That's exactly why I don't want it," Bing interrupted, gentle but firm. "The moment it becomes about publicity, it stops being about them. It starts being about me, and I've got enough people thinking about me. These folks, the ones I want to help, they've got nobody thinking about them. Let's change that, quietly, secretly, the way real goodness ought to work." And so it began. Every year, without fail, a significant portion of Bing Crosby's Christmas earnings would disappear from his accounts. His accountants knew where it went, of course. They had to for tax purposes. His manager knew. His closest confidants knew. But the recipients, the hospitals and orphanages and struggling families who benefited from his generosity, they never knew. They never had the faintest idea that the voice they heard on the radio, the voice that sang them lullabies of white Christmases and silver bells, was the same man who had made their holiday possible. That was the way Bing wanted it. That was the secret commitment he made every single year from that autumn night in 1951 until the very end of his life, a commitment to give without recognition, to love without credit, to be, in the truest and most beautiful sense, a secret Santa.
Now, dear friends, let me take you inside the secret. Let me show you what Bing Crosby's hidden generosity actually looked like year after year for decades. Imagine, if you will, a children's hospital ward in Los Angeles. It is December 23rd, 1956. The ward is filled with young patients, children who, instead of hanging stockings by their own fireplaces at home, are lying in hospital beds, fighting illnesses that no child should ever have to face. Some have been here for weeks. Some have been here for months. Their parents visit when they can, but work and other children and the simple, cruel logistics of life often keep them away. The nurses do their best to keep spirits up, but there is only so much that medical staff can do to replace the warmth of a home during Christmas. And then something extraordinary happens. Beat music builds slightly. It begins on the morning of December 23rd. A fleet of delivery trucks pulls up to the hospital's service entrance. Not one truck, not two, a fleet. The hospital administrator, a stern woman named Mrs. Patterson, who has seen everything in her 30 years of service, comes rushing out to see what on earth is going on. The drivers begin unloading, and they don't stop. They unload crates of toys. Not cheap, flimsy toys, but the finest toys money can buy. Baby dolls with real hair and eyes that close when you lay them down. Electric train sets with intricate tracks and hand-painted miniature towns. Teddy bears so soft and plush that you could sink your face into them and forget all your troubles. Board games and books and art supplies and musical instruments and bicycles and rocking horses and everything a child could possibly dream of finding under a Christmas tree. Mrs. Patterson stands there, mouth agape, as the mountain of gifts grows higher and higher. "Who?" she finally manages to stammer. "Who is this from?" The lead driver, a jovial man with a thick mustache, shrugs his shoulders. "Ma'am, I honestly couldn't tell you. All I know is the delivery is paid for in full, it's all meant for the children here, and we're supposed to tell you it's from a friend of Christmas. That's all the paperwork says, that's all I know. But the toys are only the beginning, musical flourish. By that afternoon, catering trucks arrived. Not hospital food, real Christmas dinner. Turkey and ham and roast beef, prepared by some of the finest chefs in California. Mashed potatoes whipped to perfection. Rivers of gravy. Green beans sautéed with almonds. Sweet potato casserole with those perfect little marshmallows on top. Cranberry sauce, both jellied and whole berry because everyone has their preference. Freshly baked dinner rolls with butter that melts into them like sunshine into snow. And desserts. Oh, the desserts. Pumpkin pie and apple pie and pecan pie and chocolate cake and sugar cookies decorated by hand with red and green frosting and little silver sprinkles that catch the light. The hospital staff is dumbfounded. They have never, in all their years, seen anything like this. The costs involved must be astronomical. But every time they ask who is responsible, every time they try to find out who deserves their thanks, they receive the same answer. A friend of Christmas. Pause for emphasis. And then, on Christmas Eve itself, the final piece of the miracle arrives. A live band. 14 musicians in matching tuxedos, carrying their instruments in velvet-lined cases, walk through the hospital doors as if they've done this 1,000 times before. They set up in the main hall, which has been transformed overnight into a winterland. White fabric draped to look like snow, thousands of tiny white lights twinkling like stars, a Christmas tree that reaches nearly to the ceiling, decorated so beautifully that it would put the tree at Rockefeller Center to shame. The children are wheeled in, those who can be moved, their faces pale, but their eyes, oh, their eyes are alive with wonder. Some are in wheelchairs, some are on gurneys, some are carried by nurses who have to fight back tears at the sight of it all. Parents who manage to come are there too, holding their children's hands, unable to believe what they're seeing. The band begins to play. Soft instrumental of Silent Night begins. They play every Christmas song you could imagine. Jingle Bells and Deck the Halls and Oh, Come All Ye Faithful and the Christmas song about chestnuts roasting on an open fire. And the children, these children who have been through so much, who have been poked and prodded and subjected to treatments that would break grown men, they start to smile. They start to laugh. Some of them, the ones who still have the strength, start to sing along. There is food for everyone, not just the children, but the parents, the nurses, the doctors, even the janitors who keep the hospital clean through long, lonely night shifts. Everyone eats together, like one enormous family gathered around a table that stretches the length of the hall. And then the gifts are distributed. Each child receives not one present, but an armful. Their names are on little tags, handwritten with care, as if someone had taken the time to learn about each and every one of them. The toys are age appropriate, the books match their reading levels, the clothes are the right sizes. It's as if Santa Claus himself had studied these children, had come to know them personally, and had chosen each gift with love. The room fills with sounds that haven't been heard in that hospital ward for a long time. The tearing of wrapping paper, the gasps of delight, the squeals of children who, for just this moment, have forgotten that they are sick. They are just kids. Kids on Christmas. Kids who are loved. Music swells with emotion. And through it all, one rule is followed with absolute ironclad precision. No one mentions who made this happen. No name, no photograph, no hint. When Mrs. Patterson, tears streaming down her face, tries to get more information from the musicians, from the caterers, from anyone who might know, they all tell her the same thing. We were hired anonymously, ma'am, paid for in full, up front. We don't know who's behind this any more than you do. All we know is someone wanted these children to have a perfect Christmas, and that's exactly what we're going to give them. This same scene, dear friends, or variations of it, played out year after year in hospitals and orphanages and community centers across the country. Every Christmas season, Bing Crosby's invisible hand reached out to touch the lives of those who needed it most. And every time, his identity remained hidden, protected by a network of trusted confidants who understood that some gifts are meant to be given in secret. The children who received those gifts grew up. Some of them got well and went on to live full, beautiful lives. Some of them, sadly, did not. But all of them, for at least one Christmas, knew what it felt like to be remembered, to be loved, to experience magic. And they never knew that the magic came from the same man whose voice was playing on radios all all across America dreaming of a white Christmas.
Now, dear friends, let me tell you about one particular moment. One moment that captures, better than any other, the heart of who Bing Crosby really was. It is Christmas Eve, 1959. The country is changing. Rock and roll is taking over the airwaves. A young man named Elvis Presley is giving the older generation heart palpitations with his swiveling hips. The world is moving faster, louder, younger, but in a modest orphanage on the outskirts of Chicago, time seems to have paused. The annual Christmas celebration, funded, as always, by an anonymous benefactor, is in full swing. The great hall is filled with the sounds of laughter and music, and spoons scraping against plates piled high with Christmas dinner. Children who have known little but loss and loneliness are, for this one night, experiencing something they thought only existed in fairy tales. But this year, something is different. This year, Bing Crosby himself decides to see it, not from a distance, not through photographs taken by trusted associates and delivered to him in plain envelopes. He needs to see it with his own eyes. He needs to feel it. There's a pause, contemplative music. He takes every precaution. He arrives in an unmarked car, driven by a friend who can be trusted absolutely. He wears plain clothes, a simple overcoat, a hat pulled low over his brow, a scarf wrapped around his neck against the Chicago cold. He could be any man. He could be a neighbor. He could be a distant relative of one of the staff members coming to visit for the holidays. He enters through a side door, arranged in advance with the orphanage's director, one of the very few people who knows the truth about where the money comes from. The director meets him in a shadowy hallway, shakes his hand silently, and leads him to a small alcove off the main hall. From here, Bing can see everything without being seen. He can hear everything without being heard. He stands in the doorway of that alcove, leaning against the frame, watching. There is a beat, music softens to near silence. The children are gathered around the massive Christmas tree. They range in age from 5 to 15. Some who barely remember their parents, some who never knew them at all. They are black children and white children and children whose heritage stretches across the globe. They are children with scars, both visible and invisible. They are children who have learned far too early that the world can be a cold and uncaring place. But tonight, none of that matters. Tonight, they are simply children. Children filled with wonder and joy and the kind of pure, uncomplicated happiness that only comes on Christmas. One of the staff members, a young woman with kind eyes and a patient smile, has gathered the younger children in a circle. She's leading them in song. Not a formal performance, just a simple, heartfelt sing-along. The way children have been singing at Christmas for as long as Christmas has existed. And they're singing White Christmas. Music. Children's choir version of White Christmas begins softly. Their voices are not perfect. They're thin and reedy, some off-key, some not quite remembering all the words. But there is something in those imperfect voices that no professional recording has ever captured. There is earnestness. There is longing. There is hope against all odds. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Bing Crosby, hidden in the shadows of that doorway, feels something break open in his chest, just like the ones I used to know. He realizes in that moment that most of these children have never known a white Christmas. They've never known any kind of Christmas at all. For them, the song isn't about nostalgia. It's about imagination. It's about dreaming of something beautiful that they've only ever heard about, only ever glimpsed in movies and picture books and the stories told by kind strangers, where the treetops glisten and children listen. Tears begin to fall down Bing's weathered cheeks. He doesn't wipe them away. He lets them fall. To hear sleigh bells in the snow. He thinks about his own children, safe and warm at home, with a mother who loves them and a father who will return to them before dawn. He thinks about the contrast, how some children are born into abundance while others are born into absence. How unfair the world can be. How desperately, terribly unfair. But then he looks at the faces of these singing children and he sees something that defies explanation. He sees joy, real joy, not the manufactured happiness of a child being forced to smile for a camera, but genuine, radiant, uncontainable joy. And he understands. Musical crescendo, then soft resolution. He understands that he cannot fix everything. He cannot restore these children's parents. He cannot undo the tragedies that have shaped their young lives. He cannot cannot wave a magic wand and make the world fair and just and kind, but he can give them this one night, this one memory, this one moment of pure, undiluted magic that they will carry with them for the rest of their lives. Many years from now, when these children are grown, when they have families of their own, when they are grandparents telling stories by their own firesides, they will remember this night. They will remember how, once upon a time, someone who never asked for anything in return gave them the most precious gift of all. Not the toys, not the food, not even the celebration. The gift of knowing that they mattered. The gift of knowing that somewhere in this vast and indifferent universe, someone was thinking of them. Someone cared. That is the true gift of music. That is the true legacy of Bing Crosby. Not the millions of records sold, not the Academy Awards, not the Hollywood Walk of Fame star. This, a room full of orphans, singing his song, believing in magic. Bing stays for nearly an hour, hidden in the shadows, watching. He sees the children open their presents. He sees the older boys trying to act too cool to be excited, then giving in and grinning anyway. He sees the little girls hugging their new dolls like long-lost friends. He sees the staff members, many of them fighting back tears of their own, marveling at the abundance that has transformed their humble orphanage into a palace of joy. And then, before anyone can notice him, before his presence can be discovered, Bing Crosby slips back out into the cold Chicago night. He drives away without a word. He returns to California. He spends Christmas Day with his family, laughing and opening presents and eating too much dinner, just like families everywhere. He never tells anyone what he saw that night. But the director of the orphanage later recalled, in a private letter discovered decades after Bing's death, that she had caught a glimpse of him before he left. She had seen him standing in that doorway, silhouetted against the light, a smile on his face as warm as anything she had ever witnessed. And she had made a decision in that moment to honor his secret, to take it to her grave if necessary, because some gifts are too sacred to be advertised. Some miracles are too precious to be explained. Some Santas must remain secret.
And so, dear friends, we come to the end of our story. But in many ways, it is not an end at all. It is a beginning. Bing Crosby passed from this world on October 14th, 1977, at a golf course in Spain, doing what he loved, surrounded by the sunshine he always seemed to carry with him. He was 74 years old. He had lived a full, remarkable life, a life of music and laughter and family, and yes, incredible fame. The world mourned him. And rightly so. We had lost one of the great voices of the 20th century. We had lost the man who taught us how to dream of white Christmases, who made us believe in holiday magic, who had become, for millions of us, the very soundtrack of our most cherished memories. But here is what the world did not know. Here is what could only be pieced together decades later through financial records and private letters and the quiet testimonies of those who had been sworn to secrecy. During his lifetime, Bing Crosby gave away millions of dollars to charitable causes. Millions! And the vast majority of those gifts were made anonymously. No fanfare, no press releases, no tax deduction ceremonies with giant novelty checks and photographers snapping pictures. Just quiet generosity, flowing like an underground river, touching lives that would never know its source. The hospitals where sick children received miraculous Christmas celebrations. They kept their anonymous benefactor's identity secret for years after his death, out of respect for his wishes. The orphanages where lonely kids experienced wonder. Many of them have since closed, their records scattered, their stories lost to time. But the people who were there, the children who grew up and became adults, they remember. They remember the magic. They remember being loved. And Bing Crosby's voice, that voice, it lives on. Beat, White Christmas instrumental begins softly. Turn on the radio during any December, anywhere in the English-speaking world, and you will hear him, Bing Crosby, eternally young, eternally warm, dreaming of a white Christmas just like the ones he used to know.
His voice has become woven into the very fabric of the holiday season. It has become part of our collective memory, part of who we are as a culture. But here is what the world did not know. Here is what could only be pieced together decades later through financial records and private letters and the quiet testimonies of those who had been sworn to secrecy. During his lifetime, Bing Crosby gave away millions of dollars to charitable causes. Millions! And the vast majority of those gifts were made anonymously. No fanfare, no press releases, no tax deduction ceremonies with giant novelty checks and photographers snapping pictures. Just quiet generosity flowing like an underground river, touching lives that would never know its source. The hospitals where sick children received miraculous Christmas celebrations. They kept their anonymous benefactor's identity secret for years after his death out of respect for his wishes. The orphanages where lonely kids experienced wonder. Many of them have since closed, their records scattered, their stories lost to time. But the people who were there, the children who grew up and became adults, they remember. They remember the magic. They remember being loved. And Bing Crosby's voice, that voice, it lives on. Turn on the radio during any December anywhere in the English-speaking world and you will hear him, Bing Crosby, eternally young, eternally warm, dreaming of a white Christmas just like the ones he used to know. His voice has become woven into the very fabric of the holiday season. It has become part of our collective memory, part of who we are as a culture. But I want you to remember something else, dear friends, something that matters even more than the music. Every time you hear that voice, I want you to remember the secret. I want you to remember the children who received toys they never expected. I want you to remember the families who sat down to Christmas dinners they could never have afforded. I want you to remember the hospital wards filled with joy, the orphanages transformed into palaces, the countless lives touched by invisible hands, because that is the true legacy of Bing Crosby. Not the gold records, not the Hollywood star, not the billions of times his songs have been played. The true legacy is the joy he gave in secret, the love he offered without expectation of return, the magic he created for people who had no idea they were being loved by one of the most famous men in the world. You know, there's a funny thing about generosity. The more quietly it's given, the louder it echoes through time. A gift that comes with a spotlight attached is wonderful, don't get me wrong. But a gift that comes from the shadows, that gift has a special kind of power. It proves that the giver is not motivated by fame or recognition or the desire to be seen as virtuous. It proves that the giving itself is the reward. Bing Crosby understood this. He understood it deeply, intuitively, in his bones. And I truly believe that somewhere, right now, there are others who understand it too. Which brings me to my final question for you tonight, dear friends. We've talked about Bing Crosby, about his hidden generosity, about his secret Christmases, but that was then. That was the golden age of Hollywood. That was a different time. But what about now? Who do you think is the true secret Santa in Hollywood today? Who do you believe is following in Bing Crosby's footsteps, using their fame and fortune to spread joy without seeking credit? Is there a modern star whose generosity you've heard whispers about, whose kindness seems too genuine to just be another publicity stunt? Let us know in the comments below. Tell us your theories, share your stories, and while you're at it, tell us your favorite Christmas memory, especially if it involves Bing Crosby's voice drifting through the air like a blessing. Well, dear friends, our time together is drawing to a close. The fire is burning low. The snow is falling softly outside, and somewhere, someone is turning on a radio and hearing those familiar words for the first time this holiday season. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. From all of us here at Starlight News Network, I want to thank you for spending this time with us. I want to thank you for remembering Bing Crosby, not just his voice, but his heart. And I want to remind you of something important. You don't have to be famous to be a Secret Santa. You don't have to be wealthy to spread joy. You just have to care. You just have to give quietly and without expectation from the very best part of yourself. That's what Bing did. That's what he would want us all to do. So this holiday season, find someone who needs a little magic. Maybe it's a neighbor who lives alone. Maybe it's a child who's having a hard time. Maybe it's a stranger you'll never see again. And give them something, a kind word, a warm meal, a moment of your time. You don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to post about it on the social media. You just have to do it. And then, when you're sitting by your fire on Christmas Eve, listening to Bing Crosby sing about white Christmases and treetops that glisten, you'll know something wonderful. You'll know that you're part of the legacy. You'll know that the spirit of generosity lives on, not just in recordings and memories, but in you. This has been a Starlight News Network special report. I'm your host, and I am so grateful you were here tonight. Until next time, dear friends, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white.